little bit more advanced. But the reason why we took this out originally, last year we didn't do this part of this section, but what we decided about this year is that most of you try to go to Math 098 because it's a new class, and if you get a C or higher, you don't have to take the entrance exam at JJC. It's a really great class. We'll talk more about that in the future. But so we decided to add back in this section because you're going to need to know it for that class, and that's why originally we had it out and then we put it back in because most of you will go to Math 098 after this if you choose a math class next year. Not saying you have to, but if you choose to do Math 098 next year because you're going to JJC, then this you need to know, and that's why we put it back in here. Okay, so make sure you're following along and paying attention, especially if that applies to you. If you know you're going to JJC, like you know that that's your option right now, you're going to need to know this, whether it's now or it's in college or at Math 098 next year. Yeah, so this is called complex conjugates, and the reason why we learn about it is because it helps us make things a little easier. So the last problem on the homework, number 7, if you notice, gave us a number, -41. Because they're complex conjugates of each other, the middle terms cross out. And that's kind of what's awesome about it. When we recognize that, it's really easy to do those law problems because you really only need 2 of them. So let's talk about it though. A complex conjugate are pairs of numbers in these forms. That's just kind of like the generic form, where the product is just the first term and those outer terms. And again, we'll talk about more in a second here. So again, all conjugates they're different signs. So this conjugate would be 6 minus 2i. That's it. So if I asked you what's the conjugate of letter A here, 6 plus 2i, you would tell me it's 6 minus 2i. Because when I multiply them, the middle terms are going to cancel, just like the last one on your homework did. So number 7 on your homework, if I were to pull it up right now, if you take a look here, see how they're different? One's negative and one's positive, but they're the same? That's from your homework. That's why you got just a number, because they're complex conjugates of each other. All right, so let's actually talk about it. What is B then?
4 plus I.
That's it. Okay, so the complex conjugate is 4 plus I. Now let's see what you guys think for C, because a lot of people tend to do some things to this one.
-5 plus 2.
-5 plus 2i, yes. Okay, I'm really happy that you didn't change the negative in front of the 5. For some reason, a lot of people want to change all the signs, but that's not the case. You just want to change the middle one instead. Do you have questions on the complex conjugate, on like how to even just know what it is just by looking at it?
So it's always going to be a negative minus sign, right? -2.
So you would read that as -5 minus 2i, because the -5 has nothing to attach to. That's why I say -5 minus 2i.
Someone said -5 plus -2.
Yeah, no, it's a minus. They're all minus signs unless they don't have anything to attach to. So hold on one second. See how this one has nothing to subtract from? That's why it's a -5.
Okay.
And this one actually has something to subtract from. It's going to subtract from the 5. That's why we say it's a minus.
There's something I want to make sure of.
Yep.
Are imaginary numbers the only numbers that change their values? What I mean is, are imaginary numbers the only values that change their signs?
This is for complex conjugates, so this applies to anything math related. Complex conjugates could be used when you're factoring and doing things like that, but we're just talking about imaginary numbers in this section. So imaginary numbers, yes, in this case, they're going to change signs in the middle, but you're going to see why we're learning about it in a second, so just give me like 5 minutes. If you still have the same question, then maybe you can ask it later. Because we're going to have to do this in the future chapters too with complex conjugates. It's just right now we're just specifically talking about imaginary numbers, but we will get more into them a little bit later. So let's actually try to play with them first, and then maybe it'll clear up some questions. So again, you can rewrite division. So say you got this problem, which I've seen one of these on the SAT. I proctored it last year, and I would like do the math just to see how I did, just to see how it was. They have one like this. They ask you to simplify it, and there's a reason for it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to rewrite each quotient. Remember, this is called a quotient when you divide, without a complex number in the denominator. So what does that mean? You can't have, just like you can't have square roots in the denominator, which I'm sure you've been told in the past, you can't have imaginary numbers in the denominator either. because that's not the simple form in math. But there's a way we can do something to make sure that it's not in this fraction, not in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. So what is the conjugate of this denominator here? What is the conjugate first? Let's first determine what the conjugate is. Good, so this is 3 minus 2i. So what that's telling me is, if I multiply the top and the bottom of this fraction by the conjugate, I will no longer have imaginary numbers underneath in the denominator. You just proved that on last night's homework for number 7. You got negative 41, right? Okay, that's what's going to happen here. That's the goal. We don't want imaginary numbers on the bottom. It's just not the proper math form, just like we can't have radicals in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by this conjugate. And we can do that because technically 3 minus 2i divided by 3 minus 2i is just 1. Bless you. And you can multiply anything in the world by 1 and still get itself. That's why we can do that. Okay? So here we go, piece by piece. The top one's a little bit harder, the bottom one's pretty easy. Again, this is the claw right here. What's 2 times 3? 6. Okay, different color here. What's 2 times negative 2i in purple? That's if you were going to be like adding them, but what's 2 times negative 2i? Negative 4i. We're still going on the top. We're just on the numerator right now. Okay, we're going to go down here in green. What's negative I times 3? Negative I times 3.
Negative 1 times 3.
Yeah, negative I times 3. 3i, yeah, that wasn't a trick question. And then we have negative I times a negative 2i. Sorry. 2i squared. Very good. So let me redo that one more time. Whenever you're doing, let's just pretend like this doesn't exist right now. We're just looking at the top. When we look at the top, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times negative 2i is negative 4i in purple. In green, negative I times a 3 is negative 3i in green. And then in red, negative I times a negative 2i is a positive 2i squared. Okay, again, math is hard. I'm not saying it's easy. But you just need to stay organized and take your time. That's why I only assign like 4 problems. I want you to just breathe and take your time and don't rush through it. Okay, let's just keep going with this because I don't want to change things here. Let's just stick with the top right now because right now we're just in the denominator. Sorry, we're just in the numerator. But let's keep going. I just want to simplify it. What can I simplify in the top? What combines? What combines? I heard it. 4i and 3i. Well, what is negative 4i minus 3i? Negative 7i. Now, again, whatever didn't change is in black. That's why I'm putting it in black. It's like it's in stone, doesn't change yet. Now, this 2. Oops, something just happened. How did that even happen? Just got like an arrow out of nowhere. Okay, sorry. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring down this plus 2. But do I know what I squared is? That we learned yesterday? What is it? Negative 1. So if you notice, all the things in black right now haven't changed. It's just the colors. So I combined these, I got 7, negative 7. And I knew I squared negative 1. We're almost done with the numerator. And then we'll do the denominator. This is why we only have 3 problems for today, because it takes a little bit longer. Let's keep going. We got James Franco over here. He's talking to us. We'll talk about him later. You don't know who James Franco is?
What? I don't know who that is.
You're crazy.
You're nuts, man. You're nuts.
You're nuts.
You're psychotic.
We only can do one more thing on the top, and what is it? We can simplify. What 2 things can be simplified? Yes, 6 plus 2 times negative 1. Remember, whenever you multiply by negative 1, all it's doing is changing the sign. So really, what is 6 minus 2?
4.
It is 4.
Ways minus.
Because Remember, a -1 is going to change the sign to a -2. Or in your calculator, you could put 6 plus 2 parentheses -1, and that would get you the same answer. If you want to write this out on top so you don't forget, 2 times -1 is -2. That's why we got that. So if you want to write on top there, hey, that's how I got -2, go for it. So like you guys told me, it is 4. And I'm just going to write down my -7i. So yes, it was a lot of work. It was. I get it, but we're not done.
Just for one time.
Just for the top. We're going to do the bottom. The bottom's easier.
So basically, it's the same thing that we're doing, except we do it 2 times.
Yep,
in
but you're
one
gonna-
problem.
And you're going to see it, though, why we are doing it this way. I'm going to show it to you. We're just not there yet. So this part's so much easier, and here's why. If you remember from yesterday's homework, the middle's canceled. So we don't have to do the full claw unless you really want to. If you really want to, just to keep consistent, please do so. But here we're just going to do the first term. The first term, I will do the same colors. I'm going to do this purple one here. What's 3 times 3? 9. We don't have to do the middle ones because they're going to cancel, because they're conjugates. We did that on purpose. So the only one we're going to do next is in red. The 2i times -2i. What do you get? -4i squared. We don't do the other parts of the claw because they're gonna cancel, so why give yourself more work? If they're complex conjugates of each other, then they're gonna cancel in the middle. But we're not done, we're almost there. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Tommy.
Aren't you the troublemaker?
No. It's not, you're fine.
Is this now?
Yeah, this is immediately. You're fine. You're good. Okay, so we're here though. What do we know about I squared again?
It just changes the sign.
Where do I go?
To opposite.
Oh wait, it says Dean time.
There you go. It's okay. It does just change the sign, and if you realize that, you do that. Some people need to write it out, and that's okay.
So it's 3 steps for each one, for the top.
Actually, the bottom, yeah,
So
Yeah.
6 steps in total.
Would be 2
technically.
steps.
So then I'm going to go ahead and replace it with a -1 like you told me. And Micah actually told me that just changes the sign. You're correct. So what is 9 plus 4?
13.
13. Now you're done. So big problem. Lots of steps, 6 steps basically. But that's why we only do 3 problems. Because you got to take your time and make sure that you are being super organized. Okay? So again, if you realize like Mika did, Micah,
Like
I keep getting that messed up, I can't get it right. The I squared really just changes the sign. So really, just literally 9 plus 4. So if you realize that, go for it. You don't have to write it all out. There's so many of these steps that you could really technically not write out, but for the notes' sake, I write them out so that you have them to look off of. Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's look down here. Ooh, C looks really easy. But let's do B. Let's do it one more time, and then we'll call it a day. And then have you guys practice it a little bit. First step is to find what's my conjugate. Good. 2 plus 4, imaginary number I. So what must I do? Kind of less guidance right now. What must I do to the top and the bottom? Good. On both the top and the bottom. And why do we do that? We do that so there are no imaginary numbers in the denominator. Because you can't have imaginary numbers in the denominator. They don't exist. Okay, so we need to make sure that we get them out of the denominator. And the only way to do that is to multiply by the complex conjugate. And that's what we just did. Okay? You know how, like, I think last year, which we'll do radicals eventually, but last year when you did radicals, for example, don't write this down at all. Like when you did this, hold on. Remember when you had something like this, and you're like, oh, I can't have radicals, so I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by it so that they disappear. That's what you did last year. This is the same thing, but a little bit more advanced. Yes?
So you do the full claw for the top and half the claw for the bottom.
full claw for the top. Now again, there are some situations like C here. I don't have it as hard, which we'll get to C a little bit. But if you look, they're different problems. I actually don't have to do a lot of work for C. Yeah, you'll probably have one like that. But let's do the top. Here we go. First term, same colors, purple. What's 20 times 2? 40, thank you. Same colors here. Orange was next. So then I have 20 times negative 4. Oh, I just said negative 4 out of nowhere. 20 times positive 4. 80, someone said it. 80i. Okay, then what are we going to do next? What's our next one we're going to multiply? Good. Negative 5i times 2 is? Negative 10i. Careful with your signs.
And then double max.
Then negative 5i times 4i, which gets me negative 20i squared. If you notice, like, do you see a pattern? Yeah, there's patterns when in math. That's how it works. Stay alive. I know this is not the funnest thing in the world, but if you lose out on this, you're gonna be lost. Okay, it takes a lot for this one.
You see,
Lots.
if we take that class next
You will need to know how to do this. It's expected. It's expected that you know how to do this. Yep.
Do you recommend that class if you go to JJC?
Yep. Juliet Junior College. It's like the community college here. Okay. We're going to keep going here. Okay. What do I do next? I add what? 80 and? Yeah. Not the negative 20 because that's different, right? That's I squared. They're different. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the 40 down. You found it? Well, what's the middle term? What's 80 minus 10? It is going to be 70, so I have 70i. And then all the way out here, again, I know I can replace it. So I have negative 20 times my negative 1. Which again just changes the sign, so if you notice that right away, then you don't have to write that step. Some of you won't have to write that. You might just go like this. You might just go like this, like bam. If you choose to do that, go for it. If you don't want to write out that parentheses negative 1, go for it. Well, last step on the top, what's 40 plus 7, wait. What's 40 plus 20? 60.
Is that step 40?
Yep. What's wrong? Are you okay? All right, we'll talk about that later. I'm interested. Question on the top. Question on the top. Bottom is the one that we like because it's so much easier. We have half the claw. We have 2 times 2, which is?
4.
And then we have negative 4i times a positive 4i.
Negative 16 I squared.
There you go. Do you have questions on that one? First and last. Again, if you forget to do that trick, it's okay. You could do the claw, and it'll still get the same answer. Again, if you ever get to a point like, oh, which ones do I multiply? Don't even ask. Just do the claw. It'll still work out. Okay, it'll still happen for you. I'm just trying to show you a trick. Well, can anyone tell me right away, how would I write the bottom now? 4.
9.
Good. Again, if you're someone, this would have been me. If you're someone that likes short tricks, which is that's definitely how I think, in my head, I would have been like, no, it's just 4 plus 16. Because I know it's just going to change the sign. If you're that person that can just do that right away, please do it. Because then we know that. What is 4 plus 16?
20.
And you're done. Technically, you can queue another step. I'm not going to do that. What? We will have homework. I just want to show you the conjugate of the next one because I know that you're going to need to know how to do it, right? Okay, make sure you're writing all this down.
How many problems are on the
I guess you'll find out. But let's look at this one really quick. This was a little different. This is a little different. The conjugate, you don't have to change the sign for this one. Your goal when you use complex conjugates is to get rid of the I. The only way to get rid of an I is to have an I squared. What's going to make this I squared?
An I.
An I. You can multiply by 2i over 2i, or you can just multiply by I and make your life easier. Up to you.
So it doesn't really matter.
As long as there is another I. I'm just going to put I because it's easier. But if you want to remember, maybe it's like I want to make it a little bit consistent. If you want to make it 2i just to be easy, go ahead. But remember, when there's only one I on the bottom, all I have to do is multiply the top and bottom by I to get rid of it. Which is going to get me -1. So watch. I'm going to do this one quickly with you. What's 10 times I? 10i. And then what's 3i plus I? Sorry, 3i times I. 3i squared. Oops. Okay, go on the bottom here. Look at this. Watch. What's 2i times I? That's the goal. The goal is to have a square in the bottom. I don't care what else is down here. As long as I have an I squared, I know it's going to disappear. That's your goal. Get rid of I. Main goal. Because what's going to be the bottom now? Not just 2, it's going to be -2. Very good. And then I kind of just want to leave you there. I mean, we can just keep going so that you know what to do. I would have 10i plus, oopsies, plus 3 times a -1 because I'm replacing the I squared. I'm just trying to move faster so you have time for the homework. And then that would just make me -3 plus 10i all over -2. I switch it because that's technically the proper form. But if you would have left it not switched, you wouldn't have been marked off. Because if you notice the way everything's written, it's always the number and then the I comes second. If you didn't switch it, I would not mark you off, but it just gets me out. So now is your time to work. I give you this much time for a reason. So you can ask questions. You have 20 minutes. No, you lied. You have about 15 minutes left, a little bit less than that you can go ahead and make sure that you get this done. I'm going to assign. No. Because I want you to review yesterday too a little bit. Ooh, no. No. I want you to do 6 through 16 evens. I'm going to write that on the board.
Wait, what are we doing? Oh, wait. What? Stupid.
That's an awful number. What's happening?
I didn't get a ticket, I got a double. And a ticket. No. There's a second. Just for you.
6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That is 6 questions. You can finish half before you leave. 6 questions. You can finish half before you leave. This is your time to ask questions. If you're confused on what the homework is, it's on the board. In a big purple right here.
I don't see 4 or 5 anywhere.
I started 6, starting at 6.
I know, this is,
It's okay.
Now?
It's okay. Just do 6 through 16 even. This is, I don't know why it's messing. Looks like you miss out. Maybe then it's 5 questions then, isn't there? Now there's only 5 questions. It looks like 12 is missing. So you only have 5 questions. Okay, so you can finish half before you leave. You can turn the light off for me, that'd be great. Because they don't need to be sleeping anymore. So now we're not gonna ever turn the lights off because 2 people were sleeping before doing it.
Come on, Julian.
So this one wants to just inform the applicant.
Jake, you were the other one
So
too.
this one you to do, contract, yeah, I don't want to do that yet. The only time you're gonna do what you just did is the real estate tax. So this is review from yesterday, all I want to do then.
Huh?
So, I know we're all interested on this double, we could talk to him later, but let's focus on the math, because you have tests next week. And next week's a lot easier because you have homecoming, but let me explain. There's only one problem on here that you're doing that was like today. Because I'm trying to get you to review a little bit from yesterday too. So the only one, can I borrow this, is number 16. That's the only one you're doing what we just did. The rest is from yesterday. So for number 6, all you're doing is combining. It's like 5 seconds. What is -4 minus 5? That's going to be your answer. -4i minus 5i. That's it. That's actually one of the fastest ones on here. It takes you 2 seconds. So don't do anything crazy. The only one that we're doing for today is number 16. It's the only one. You only have 5 questions because 12 isn't existing in there, right? I know, right? Yeah, something happened.
What?
So evens. It's an even number. Circle it on those problems.
What? They run you right.
You drove to school? Is that what it is? Well, don't do it. You know the rules.
How else am I supposed to get to school?
A bus like everyone else.
That's boring.
Okay, well, follow the rules. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
They see by the